Okay, it should be going. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. We have an interesting show for you all. Thank you for coming, family. Feel free to ask your questions in the comment below. So I have a guest on today, Susan Long. She is an ET and fairy contactee, has reading this in a different person. Uh, tele telepath guest on pyramids on Mars UFO radio. Susan is a licensed massage therapist, craniofacial therapist. I love that too. Holy fire, Oseo Reiki master for the last 15 years. Susan is an ET contactee and survivor of military programs involving secret space program. She was used as a psionic warrior, telepath, and all other psionic abilities they could activate. She is a descendant of the Tuatha De Danann. Whoa, wonderful. Whom her Irish great-grandmother referred to as the Fae, or the fairies, like her. She is a psychic medium and remote viewer with biolocation abilities. She does not have to touch you to feel your pain. She only has to be in your aura. She remembers many past lives. She is protected by fairies, angels, extraterrestrials, and interdimensional beings. Welcome to the show. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about yourself and how you got into this world and how it all started and life? Feel
How
free.
it started. Shoot. I remember being contacted at 2 by these things that look like T-Rex beings that would come into my bedroom. Then I had and then I was sleepwalking around 10 or 12. And I also had actually that started earlier. I think it was more around 6, where they'd walk me out of the house. I would sleepwalk and the rest of the house would stay asleep, but there'd be 2 of the men in black down in the front foyer. And I know it went on for a couple of years, because I remember we didn't have a glass storm door initially. And then some of my memories are where they have the door open and it's cold and the storm door shut. And then we go away in like a black MLK looking car, and I'd fall asleep in the back. And then I remember being at Montauk. And I can go into a lot of that stuff, but I remember the first time I used the chair, I was standing in the room and looking at the people. So I didn't need the chair apparently to go through places. But they also drowned me for my selfie gene, because I remember being drowned in like this big like horse trough type thing. And I remember watching the bubbles go up to the surface. And I remember I was smiling, because a lot of my memories I'm actually remote viewing myself and all my higher self is. So it's kind of weird like that, but I could see the bubbles coming out of my nose and I'm smiling because I'm happy that they won't be torturing me for a little while. Because once you accomplish the task that they wanted, and they would leave you alone for a little while, or you'd actually get to do some things that you wanted to do. And then they had me teaching telekinesis, telepathy, and a lot of psionic stuff. And my friend Douglas Robertson, he's a big comic guy, and he's like, Susan, you're Jean Grey. You know that? That's what these comic books are based on. And I even noticed that in the 90s, when my body shape changed a little bit, even Jean Grey changed. And I remember being able to make my aura plasma aura. So that's why I like Yssah talking about the plasma. And I was like, oh, I've got one of those. And I could literally pull pieces of it and throw fireballs at people. Like I could do that in the astral. But I remember in the programs being like a lot of times, because we were psionic warriors, they would keep us away from the other people. They would have us do soldier stuff, but it would, of course, it would be with ETs. That's why they wanted our psionics. But shoot, now I'm having a brain fart. Why is this happening? Oh, anyways, they separated me from my counterpart. And I remember I don't know if we were on an asteroid or a planet, but they got me into this room that was basically a shipping container, a sea container, if you know what they look like. And they locked the doors. And then I realized that this was a 5-person rape gang, but I had my smart suit on and they all had helmets on because I'm a psionic. And they have to come and catch me with these helmets on, or I can basically boil their brains. I can get in their head and make them kill each other, because we've done that when we were coming out of, I remember watching my counterpart do that when he came out of one of the regen tanks. He was so pissed off because you're coming through your death throes again, coming back and climbing out of the tank when they weren't looking, and basically making other people kill themselves in the lab, the white coats, because yeah, we weren't fond of them at all. But those guys in that shipping container had black and red smart suits on, and black helmets look like motorcycle helmets. And I believe they're Asian because I could only see like this much of their skin, and they, you know, were kind of beige complected. They weren't black. Yeah, once I got the one helmet off, because I just went for the helmet, and they couldn't rape me anyway with my smart suit on. But I just grabbed his helmet and hit the other ones off. And then they just start dropping, because you're basically, you can, and then, you know, I'm angry, so I'm basically boiling their brains. So that's when I say I'm a holy fire Reiki master teacher. The heat that comes out of my hands gets really hot over areas you need healing, because I'll just do a scan. It's like, oh, okay, you got what's going on here. But that same energy I use to heal more intensely, I can use to harm or kill. It's just how you choose to focus your energy. But I think they shut a lot of that off. And I mean, I was telepathing my counterpart, and remember, he was coming through the shipping container doors, and he bent them like they were like bent inwards. And then he got in because I'd already killed a couple of the guys, and he finished the last 2 off. That would happen. I remember going rogue, and they'd have to come and get us with black helmets when they were, when I got caught, when I tried to leave one time when I was pregnant. I tried to escape with my dragon craft, and I got shot in the back. And when I came to, I was on a dental chair, and they were sending me back here. All the security in there had these. It's really triggering when I see helicopter helmets, because they were black, but they kind of had like the gray looking eyes, but there was humans underneath of them. And this was their protective headwear, because if they weren't wearing it, I could kill them. And they would always be there like that. And there was like 4 of these guards, all black suited with the black helmets on. And shoot. There's I'm trying to think what other psionic things, because with the psionic stuff, you're also with the, and one of the reasons they wanted descendants from the Tula Dadanan is because we can remote view with bilocation, which if you're psychic at all, you can see the people looking at you. And usually I'll see them. Sometimes it depends on how close they are. If they're 1,000 miles away or so, sometimes I'll just see their head, and it's floating around the crown molding, and I see them watching me. Like I noticed with my counterpart, because we're not together anymore. When we had split up and I was cutting cords, he ended up showing up full figure, but I could see through him like a ghost in my front hall. But also know there's a portal there that I have to be mindful of to keep shut, because I have a Victorian and I have the leaded glass, and it's beveled at my front door. And I also have a mirror on my Harry Potter bathroom door. And if I have the bathroom door open and the front door and the sun's coming through, it makes a portal in there. And it's really easy for people to come through if they're trying to remote view. So I have to keep the bathroom door shut. And that's where he came through in that portal. And I saw him and I looked through him, and I knew he was close by, because the only other times I've seen him, when we weren't both in Iowa, I could only see his head. And yeah, so he kind of gave himself away that he was close by. it's also kind of difficult if you're trying to like look in on somebody, because I have to be mindful not to actually, like if I'm thinking about somebody, not show up as a spirit in there if they can see me, because when I go, I can taste, touch, smell. I didn't realize when, shoot, I went to this Unitarian church in North Jersey, and Frill is the name of the guy that was teaching the class, and it was advanced platform mediumship. But I knew I was connected that morning, so I actually volunteered to be the second one to get up. And I went with my friend who actually does platform mediumship professionally, and I don't. I would go with her once in a while and also do it. She's like, "Oh, you're advanced enough, you can come." So get up on stage, and I was doing, unbeknownst to me, the teacher is former naval intelligence. So I'm remote viewing, and I'm thinking I'm psychically linked to this Irish guy he's on the docks, and he's cutting up bait and stuff because he's getting ready to go fishing. And this is, he's got a fishing boat. And he's joking with me about whether squid or this other thing is best for bait. And he's talking to me, and I'm just standing there like, I just was like, "Hey, how you doing? Nice boat." And that's how I'll end up remote viewing, where sometimes they're actually interacting with me. And shoot. Sorry about that. Got a call. Shoot, where was I at? Where we're interacting. So anyways, I could hear the seagulls, and I could taste the salt on my tongue, but it would start to, I was trying to bring the image closer, and I'm going like this. And when I do this, I could taste the salt on my tongue. I can hear the birds. I can hear the ship's bells, and it just brings it's like I'm pulling the scene closer. And he jumped up on the stage, and he said, "Stop, stop. You're remote viewing." And I said, "This is how I always see, And he got upset, and I don't know if this was something classified, but it would bring things closer to me. So yeah, I could literally taste, touch, smell everything that was there on the scene. And when he did that, I was still looking, and I could see where he left from, because he was, I went to the Rose of Tralee Festival, and he left there from the Ring of Kerry. That's where his boat was. And a screen popped up. It was like this glass screen, but he couldn't see it. And none of the 30 to 40 people taking the class could see it, but I could see where I was. And I was outside of the town. There was one road from when I was there in 1984 down into the town, and I could see the whole Ring of Kerry. And I said, "Oh," and he left from the Ring of Kerry, went northwest, and disappeared by where High Brazil was. But he got really upset with me. So yeah, that was in 20. When did I go to that one? 2017 maybe, and I already had memories of SSP. So I was like, "Okay, thanks for confirming that I'm doing classified stuff, because you don't want everybody else in the room to see." So a lot of my stuff has been trial and error, where somebody gets upset that I'm doing some classified stuff, and I'm like, "This is just what I do," And then it's a lot of, I don't know, it seems like we had to hide a lot, because I'm glad you guys are all here, the younger crowd, because I didn't want to go to mental health evals or anything like that, because of what I could see, touch, taste, and smell, because I was seeing spirits at age 9, and it's never stopped, on angels and things. And with the fairies, have been pretty busy here, actually. I left them. I was thinking about it last night on the full moon, and I thought, the fairies have been really helpful. I'm going to leave something for them to drink. So I put out some brandy. That was the only brown liquor I had for making tinctures, because I don't drink. I mean, I have vodka, Everclear, and brandy, but that's for my folk medicine stuff. And I made some moon water. But they've been really helpful when I was having issues here. I could literally hear them screaming because they came in after my late husband. I've got a picture of him in here because he always said he would be my guide, whichever one, because we were police officers together, and he was psychic too. So he'll come through to warn me about things. And it's been really active. And one girl came here, and she's the daughter of one of my yoga teacher, and she was on the table, and she said, I'm so sad I haven't heard the fairies talk to me lately. And she was Irish, and she didn't know. And here she is with her big blue eyes and her black hair. And I was like, yeah, you're what we call Black Irish, with your black hair and blue eyes. Because, you're supposed to have Spanish blood in you from Spanish shipwrecks on the coast. And that was funny when I was at her feet and she was doing Reiki, and when she said, I'm so sad I haven't heard the fairies. And then all of a sudden we both, because I had my eyes closed too, and all of a sudden we both heard, we're here. Because I do this really high pitched, and it almost sounds like your ears are ringing, and you have to tell them to slow it down because it's just super high pitched. And did have pictures of the blue fairies out in the front yard. And there's been other things in here, but this whole room is my office, and it's crystal gridded separate from my house because things are allowed to come in here and visit. Like I like it when my clients' past relatives come in, or their deceased friends, and give them these loving messages, and I have to warn them that I'm going to be trying to, because they'll, I remember this one day, this lady came in, and I saw there was this young guy, and he was standing like right over here, about 6 feet away from the table. And I kept trying, I closed my eyes trying to get a better look at him. And he kept trying to hide his face, but he did give me an image of what he'd looked like before. But I said, there's a young man here, and my client's presenting. It's like, I think she's 35 or 38. And I said, he was 17 or 18. I said, he drove his Jeep to your house, but he rolled his Jeep. I see him in the ditch. And he was sorry, because they'll give me all their emotions. He was really sorry that he didn't know he was dead. And I could see where he was coming in through the field, because they had a hay farm. And I could see her house, and I'm describing it to her as he's walking up. And I said, you're in the kitchen, and he scared the shit out of you. And he's so sorry. And what she didn't realize was he was madly in love with her. He wanted me to tell her that too. So yeah, like, you never know what's going to come through. I mean, the other day I had a guide with, I like this one client. Oh, she's always open, so I'll see more stuff with her. So I get excited. I'm like, what are we going to see today? And this last time she came in last week, we saw like this bat flew in. I closed my eyes for a second, and I saw him flying to the left side of the table. I'm like, what the fuck? And then he turns into this thing that looks like the Grim Reaper. And I said to her, what is this bat thing that he's got a black cape on, and he looks like the Grim Reaper, but he won't look at me. And she's like, oh, she's like, I picked him up a while ago when he was lost. And then he also switched back to looking like some kind of fairy folk with he had a fair face. He had a handsome face and dark eyes and dark hair. And he was on a different fairy realm level lifetime, like where they had together, which she said it bled over into this one. I said, yeah, he's jealous of your husband, because she said there was a lot of issues when she got pregnant, because this spirit was jealous and was doing stuff in her house. I said, do you want me to make him leave? Because I can make him leave. And then we had a chat, and he told me he was one of the Fae, and he and he told me which was funny. He was like, you know how we feel about our people, we have to protect them. Because when you meet people and they're in your circle and you can see them getting attacked, it's like, and knock all this shit off of them. Because my one friend, Amaria, something was trying to kill her, and I think it was something from the programs, and she called me up. This was a couple of years back, and I said, "Do I have your permission?" Because I'll literally pull your energy body onto my table and start working on it. And these beings were trying to kill her, but I couldn't see them, and they kept trying to pull her energy away from me, and I had to keep it there. And I was literally fighting, and I had to tell these fuckers that she was mine, and they couldn't have her. And it was basically something from the dark side that thought it had a contract with her and it was taking her life force, whether she wanted it or not. It was pretty scary. But she's been all right since then. Actually, she's really good at removing love bite tech, because after me and my counterpart from the programs split up, I was having a lot of issues with, sex energy that wasn't mine, and it's pulling your emotions otherwise, to other places where I'm just trying to be present here and do my thing, and I don't want to be drug into that chaos and drama. So just had to center myself here. And she did it remotely. I was watching her, and she had this, it was like as big around as this container, but this thing literally came out of my solar plexus like this. I could see it in 3D, and it was twisted. It was silver and red, and it was some kind of love bite tech that she pulled out of my sacral chakra, and it looked like one of those hideous red and silver candles they would have that were twisted in the 70s, like, I don't know, Christmas time or whatever. So she's really good at seeing some of that tech. I can see black goo in a lot of people. This one girl was having a lot of problems that was in South America, and her whole womb was full of black goo. That was pretty wild, and she was under attack. She's doing a lot better now. I don't know, what other psionic stuff do you want to talk about?
So yeah, you talked about the Fae. For those that don't know, yeah, the 12th day of Anon in the Irish mythos, which has basis in truth and evidence. These giant towers all over Ireland and Scotland and England, and mounds and ancient stone circles and all fairy rings, fairy hills, graveyards, and portal connections. There's like a fair skin race that's like the elves in Lord of the Rings that have connection to other realms and have immigrated here as a higher dimensional species, as well. Has been shown to have advanced technology in the mythos, such as having a small object turn into a giant ship, or be able to regrow limbs, and automail and cloning and magic, and so advanced abilities as well, and the land of the everlasting youth and multiple realms being connected to them, and a gateway between them. So there's and then G.R.R. Tolkien saying he translated a lot of stuff from the Oxford Dictionary and used them in the mythos. So yeah, and then the Fae folk, which go into the fates, or higher dimensional beings, like fifth, sixth, and up dimensionality, to be able to influence this realm from different places, come in and out. Some are able to be seen, some don't want to be seen, and many different species types, and some near extinction, some lost, some wanting to find remedies, some introduced their genetics to us, and yeah, the many different types. So yeah, yeah, feel free to keep going in that route, because you said you had their genetics as well. I am Irish as well. So there's a lot of Syrian A, etc., genetic lineages from other realms coming here and interacting with the human species for various purposes and agendas, light, dark, and neutral. If you want to talk about that, and then how that unfolded into your life and the DNA lineages and the abilities that you've seen them demonstrate, feel free. And then we'll go on.
Well,
You can throw off so many topics, don't you?
oh yeah, well they were also called the shining ones. You know, I do the glowing thing, and I've had like distance healing videos sent back where people were like, "Your face disappeared," because I'll just imagine my light body, and I'm bringing them the purest light into their body for healing, and I'll literally turn into this light being, and that started happening back in 2019. And I guess during the lockdown, I had a couple videos sent back with you can see orbs coming out of my hands, but I don't know how to edit a video. So yeah, that would be a nice thing to put on TikTok or having a little video. And I remember Joseph Powell, like I did put a picture, a profile picture a couple years ago where my face turned all white when I was doing energy work, and he had copied that and did something with it. But that was a real picture of me in 3D. It wasn't a filter or anything. And I also remember the two I had three gifts that we brought with us. We had this huge cauldron, but I also remember wearing what looked like Merovingian folk dress because I had this white peasant blouse on, and it had this beautiful long full-length skirt, and it had different designs in it and colors. It was really colorful and beautiful. And I had three cauldrons, and I don't know what we were doing there if we came to visit somebody, but I could make the one cauldron into three, like I was Jesus. I had one one fish, one piece of ham, and some chicken, and I made three different huge things of rice, and they were never ending pots. And I still don't have the rest of that memory, but I remember Veronica was there with me because I had the dream, and she's been in some of my dreams. But I also remember having, like, I have a staff that's an energy weapon, kind of like Loki does, but you have one too. I saw yours when I did a session because we can make weapons of light. Like, all I have to do is think of it, and it's like trident. Okay, here's a trident, you know, and shield, and here comes my plasma. My aura turns into plasma, and you can see it, and it's all fire, and it doesn't hurt me, and it isn't hot, but if you try to touch me, you're gonna get burned up. Like I said, also the healing and the harming comes the same way. I just think they turned the harming part off because part of the faith thing where I have all the gifts, I also can feel people's pain in my own body, which is really awful. But it makes me a better therapist. But I can also, when I do like cranial sacral fascial therapy, the Gillespie approach, and it starts out cranial sacral and it can turn into John Barnes, myofascial release and unwinding. Usually for me, it turns into a lot of unwinding where people are literally like going like this, and you're unwinding like if you're old enough to remember, you know, grandmom's phone where she had the really long cord and you had to hang it upside down so it would unwind itself. That's basically what you're doing. And I'll get flashes of their trauma. I'm like, wait a minute, because I had this guy who was like 45. I'm like, oh, I see you on a snowmobile. This is a hold my beer moment. I said, oh shit. I was like, you're on a two-person snowmobile and you were drunk and you went over the sidewalk, which was shoveled, and then you were going to hit a tree and your friend fell off, but you didn't, you went down with the ship, so to speak. And he was like, oh my God, I was 19. I said, yeah, you thought you walked it off, but this pain is manifested into something else. And yeah, you'll get flashes like you're watching a little film. And but also, you know, I'll feel the pain in me, but I'm also witnessing a lot of this stuff when I'm looking at it. It's like I'm just an observer when I see these memories. But that was strange where I had the guy from that advanced platform mediumship. I was actually interacting with that guy. I wasn't just a witness, because a lot of times I'm just a witness, you know. And I don't like, all I think remote viewing is your kundalini is fully activated, and it's like, hey, I'm gonna go take a piece over here, and I'm gonna go look at the grandkids. I'm gonna take a piece over here, go look at this. Oh, okay, let's go look at a past memory of something I enjoyed, because I'm reminiscing today. And that's how I think they take so many pieces of us, because we were so powerful as one being, that taking little pieces of us is diminishing our power somewhat, and is the control factor. And I'm still trying to figure this out.
Yeah, I'd agree with a lot of the wholeness is one of the ways to amplify abilities and become greater and get closer to winning the game. Yeah, like the evil don't earn their abilities, they steal them, so they have to make these elaborate large scale projects that are expensive with advanced technology taken from multiple ETs, and the ETs doing it too, of the negative ones,
Oh,
to go after and monitor abilities, and then try to take them or drain them from themselves. Because some abilities, if you try to take them, they dissolve, and so then they have to just funnel the energy off the person like a battery constantly.
yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, because it's not funny, but when people do you wrong and they've been parasiting off your energy and you're a healer, they'll end up spiraling when they're away from you. Yeah, never mind. But shoot, with the psionic stuff, you can pretty much use it for everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's ability for everything, because it's
Because
greater reality creation, and then learning how the reality rules work, and then the authority that you're granted previously. You're talking about cauldrons. A lot of in the Celtic mythos, they have magic cauldrons of various type, like Calduin has like this cauldron of immortality that she'll give to people. This one by one of the giants in the Irish mythos has a cauldron where never ending food. It's like a horn of plenty or a bag of plenty. You just keep pulling stuff out. And that goes into like duplication psionics or food replication, or like the never ending fish, or portaling in from somewhere, either way. And then the holographic reverse engineering something that's you have the blueprint of, which the body has. Some DNA technology lineages have that. It's a lot to build, and then there's ones for like giving super intelligence and many other things. That's cool. Yeah, and pain, yeah, I've had to deal with a lot of pain in my life, so I've had to figure out how to transmute it, redirect it, process it in a way that doesn't overwhelm me if I'm being empathic to another person, so I can still get data on them, but because it's like a give and take, like with that ability. And then the way to get rid of it but like be able to tell, and then tell when it's gone, releasing it, getting off of the client. If it's really far gone and evil, then destroying it, etc. Or whatever it needs, because it might be like something deeper than physical pain, like emotional, mental, spiritual, and a deep getting attention type of mechanism. And then once they become aware of it, what the attention is grabbing the pain and goes away. It could even be a parasite attached, like if they're parasites, and you're good at looking at those. I liked during your session how visual and you went into the communication system and having spirits come in during your healing, giving you information, and as well seeing the spirits around a person. Can you talk a little bit more about that and how you got into that, and like the things you've heard and seen, and the wonderful healings that has granted people in their understanding of it?
it's kind of wild, because you can literally like wrap a blanket of protection around people from a distance. And I've actually seen pictures of it because one of my friends, her friend was being attacked, and he was out in this remote location. So she sent her angels, which is, basically our guides. Some people have a problem with angels, but my angels are blue. They're Syrian and they're Arcturian, and I think there's some Andromedans, and they fly in the honeycomb ships. But anyway, she called in her angels, but we're also calling in her higher self, and it's just enveloping a shield around this person. And he took a picture of himself, and you can see her face like over top of his, like an overlay, and it was so freaky. And I was like, damn, we really do that, So her face, like you can see through it, but you see his face and his selfie he took there at the scene. But a lot of this stuff that, like, when you think you're praying and energy works a lot the same, because the intent's the same where you're trying to help someone. So you can literally bilocate there and be putting your energy around these people, and they'll see it. I had one lady came in, and she'd been the victim of a couple violent, really awful home invasions, and her talk therapist sent her to me. And one of the reasons, like, I bought these are really cool Uvanda's things, but my energy, when I pull it down, put it into people, is the golden Christ consciousness light that I'll pull in, whatever you want to call it. But she actually saw it coming through my crown, and I was shocked because she was, right here in my office, and she said, "Is there golden light coming through you?" Because I was envisioning that I was pulling down all this golden healing light, and that's not part of Reiki. That'll do at the end, because after I pull attachments and stuff off, you got little holes in your aura. So I'll go back in, kind of like, what is that? Is it Chinese, where they fix the pottery with the gold and make it prettier than it was before it was broken? I didn't realize
Chinese
that's about Chinese. Well, anyway, I go in and I cover them with gold, this golden healing honey that I remember from the programs. Because I remember being in a cave, and this stuff would drip from the ceiling, and you could just put it on yourself and it would heal whatever. But it's not sticky like our honey. It's more viscous and thick and like a gel, but it wasn't sticky. And I will put them on that, just leave their faces like they're little kids in this little sleeping blanket, and it just moves with them and keeps them from, so their aura can heal after I'm done with them, because they got to go out in the world. So just make their aura stronger. And I'm also, when I'm doing that, thinking of activating their light body too. Like, okay, activate your armor. They're having a hard time, because once you activate it, you will see yourself as like this golden warrior. That's what I am anyway. I have this weird like Scythian hat, and it has a little loop on the top, and I have a gold kilt, gold armor. It's pretty cool looking.
Yeah, there's speculation that the sightings are connected to the origin of some of the Irish lineages, and the connection with Egypt and the Akhenaten families and certain royal families that went back and forth, and why Akhenat's kid Scotia, Nefertiti's daughter, is why Scotland's named after, and Nova Scotia, and then a bunch of kings' graves there. And
yeah, my DNA.
That's cool that you have the armor.
Yeah, I did my DNA years ago when I didn't know any better. And I am 1% Egyptian, 1% Sudanese. Yeah, you can see where I came from, the cradle, and 1% all these different countries going to Ireland, and then it was 83% Irish and 10% Scandinavian, but the 7% had all the cool stuff in it, where I was, I was Egyptian, I was Sudanese, I was Persian, because I have memories of being Persian, which is pretty cool.
Cool. Yeah, and spiritual armor is a big thing. I see that people can activate that they've earned from multiple lifetimes. It's a point of authority. It can exist in multiple realms of existence. There's like angelic armor, deity armor, different species that will make different constructs. You know, they'll usually pass them down either the DNA lineage or the soul in past lives. It's awesome. And yeah, you also went into a bunch of different types of abilities. Like, so you said you taught psionics. Talk a little bit about that. Did you say at Montauk and other places?
They were taking me when I was 12 and 14. That's why I'll show people pictures of me at that age and 5, because that's when you would have known me, and by long. So that's why I use my real name so people can find me if they remember me. And I did I did find over a dozen people that I remember from the programs that were there with me. Shoot, what was the question again?
Teaching
Oh,
psionic abilities and Montauk and other things.
yeah, I remember Alondra, when I saw him at St. Pete's at the Disclosure Now, he kept smiling. He looked like he wanted to say something to me when we were at dinner, and I'm like, so when he was doing that, I could see myself, because I would sit Indian style and have our knees touching. And when I'm trying to teach kids stuff, especially like telekinesis, I want them to feel my energy. So, because it's a lot of, you have to feel the push pull of what you're doing. And that's the hardest part, is to be able to catch the push pull part and see what it feels like. So I would want them to feel my energy. And it's cool when I talk to people from the programs that I taught, because when they don't understand something, I can push the image and they'll say, like, one of my friends will say, "Oh, thank you, Susan." Greg DeLuca can see when I'll push stuff. And he's like, "Oh, I understand now." Because I'll do that ET thing where they just push the image at you. Got it.
Telepathic training, telekinesis, and what are other things?
Well, they were having us kill animals and stuff and other things, and I don't really want to talk about that stuff, but yeah, basically teaching you how to boil people's brains with your mind and how to make them do things. Because if you could we could literally, like, I remember being able to walk into people's bodies and control them. I can look out of their eyes. I can make them do stuff against their will. So it's kind of like having a walk in, but I can walk in and walk out. I don't have to stay there, which was kind of creepy. But I can still do that. I was doing that when I was a police officer and detective, because I remember it worked better there because I knew the terrain where I was, because I grew up there, which is funny because we were both in Delaware. And when I was thinking of the guy, I'm like, oh, because this was up in Newcastle County, and they're like, oh, this guy's diabetic and he has no feeling in his legs. He's driving his car and he went to the KFC. So me, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'll take that, because I can already see him in the vehicle. And I know he wasn't going to the one by University of Delaware, because there was more cops there. He was taking the back road one to the one down at this other shopping center. So I found him and pulled him over. He was cussing at me, but I put him in my car and got him his KFC while he bitched the whole time, and took him back. But I could find missing people that way. Even found one of Jamie's sons Maria's sons had run away. She was crying. She's like, "Where is he?" I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, okay, he's walking up these cement steps and the house looks like this. And he'd finally gone back to his dad's house, but I saw him walking in the door. But I didn't know whose house it was, because it wasn't hers. But she knew as soon as I started describing it. And some days it's easier to connect and see stuff, because with people that, you have more of a soul family connection, you're like it's kind of like, I can just jump on that cord. It's like, zoop, and I'm right there. I'm like, okay, what's going on? You know, because I'm just, and then you go there and do whatever you need to do and leave. Or you can pull their energy over here and do what you need to do and send it back, because I can't always get to a lot of these people I know because they're all 1,000 miles away. And that just sounds really weird unless you know how to work with energy.
Oh no, I do that too. I try to like bring them to goodness or rebellious nature or some type of training school to bring them to goodness, so that if they're sending bullshit at me, then they stop. And then usually, if they're sending bullshit, then they don't deserve the authority in that, so that can be resolved. Nice. And you said that you can boil brains and have people influenced to attack each other themselves. That's a cool, interesting ability. It's like instant drama creation to a sliding scale. You said you just put the image of that, so it goes to mental construct, and then your psionic abilities carry out the rest in delivery.
You'll put the thought in their head that they're going to kill somebody or do whatever, and they don't really have any control over it. I guess if it was somebody that could feel that stuff coming in, they might be able to push it out, but you'd have to be more, you had to be more advanced, because I think some people don't know what it is. But they taught us to. I mean, I remember being, this kind of weird, because I don't really understand how this works, but this memory is that if our soul was shot out of our body that we were soldiering in when we were on the battlefield fighting ETs or whatever, we could go jump into another body and our soul would be housed there. And then when they get us back, we could just jump into an avatar or whatever. But if you didn't have, like, I remember them having ships that, I guess these were suicide missions or potentially suicide missions, because they had like 30 clones or something in these tubes that were, they were smaller than, I used to see the movie Avatar, and they were huge. Well, mine were.
Consciousness transfer. Yeah, I see that a
I
lot.
don't remember seeing ones that were that tall. They were more my height, which 5'9" or whatever. But they had 20 or 30 of them in there in that one. But the weird thing is, like, I remember this one stasis chamber that I had to sleep in sometimes, and it was like candy apple red. Candy apple red was really popular on Earth in the 50s. So yeah, it's kind of weird. Like,
Yeah, like with consciousness transfer, I'll find that a lot. I've seen similar things where they'll first initial temporally messed with abduction is to then acquire genetics, so then they can make clones, and then they can force the parts of the person's consciousness to inhabit those clones, and they do them for certain things, job skills, missions, psionic abilities, or they can put them into a hybridization program of like the genetics into a cluster of different genetics to make a even greater performing thing that doesn't necessarily have to look like the person, as well as they can then also take those back and forth in time. The reason for doing that, and also other timelines, because they're inhabiting other timelines, is some of the trainers for certain abilities are rare, so they have to take them to the point where the teacher is, or the advanced teacher especially, because they kind of make it easier for the sub points, which usually start with torture. Depends on the program and how good or bad it is, and how the person that's running it. And then they move them off to an advanced program, which could be on another timeline that allows for the ability to unfold easier. And then they use them for certain things. That's interesting. And you also mentioned we're both from Delaware. Yeah. So you grew up in Delaware? How was that? Yeah,
my parents moved there when I was 2. So yeah. So that was kind of funny. I'm like, what did they do to us out in Delaware? Because I remember the mater coming out there And
Information.
yeah,
There's a lot there. It's like the first state, the first colony, the first city, the first, well, the Lenape tribe think they're the what is it? The first or the original people. That's what they say. And there's also a national thing. There's womb chakras for like the horseshoe crab, a lot of seabirds. There's a lot of deep stuff underground, even stuff with elven and giant stuff. And there's old petroglyphs that are in the bay that are hard to see unless you're like you know exactly where you're looking. Some
oh,
interesting.
you mean down by Turkey Point? There were some cool ones down by Turkey Point on those cliffs. Yeah, I've saw a lot of wild stuff in Delaware, and that's where I saw the honeycomb, the beehive shaped ships over Brandywine Creek State Park. Because I would hear like a lot of the northern units would say that they would see UFOs, but I worked down south, so I didn't see any. Not usually anyway, because I'd ask a state trooper about the Robert Earl White's thing, because apparently they saw it on the Delaware side of the river because it was in New Jersey where he was. And he wouldn't say anything to me. So I know he knows something, but he won't tell me. Because he also told me that he remembers being on some military bases and seeing some really horrible experiments they were doing to people. And the only thing he would say to me was they treat mentally ill people very horribly, and you're at horrible risk if you're put in an institution because they will experiment on you. So it's my belief that they're taking certain people and saying they're crazy and they're not, just so they can experiment on them.
I think so too. I think they're targeting people with abilities. They're looking for certain individuals that have like a soul group agreement in incarnation there. There's like reasons people incarnate everywhere, and people, it's fun little discovery and roadmap for people to find as why they go to certain places or incarnate or taken there in childhood. For abilities, they're looking for angels in human bodies, divine beings. They're looking for people having to do with the founding of America for some reason, something to do with time travel and influencing you know, how this country forms, the founders of you know, multiple places and Earth and stuff. Yeah, at least in Delaware, but I think they're in multiple things. They're looking for specifically in other places, but the whole country at large also is looking for that. So, and then they'll rush up to like DC or Montauk or New York or some other like Philadelphia. There's like a big base industry, and depending on what abilities you have, I think they have facilities specially for that and training. Like you mentioned, oh yeah, you want and there was I saw so many UFOs in Delaware. Oh my God! And as soon as I came back, there's like shooting stars all over the place, and some that like turn. So I was like, oh yeah, I'll send you a telepathic message, and then they'll message you back. So it's like soul family underground. I think a
There's
lot
a
of people where they're born, they have soul family near them in some base in like off-world ET soul family or something.
hmm,
You want
it's
to
just,
mention anything else on Delaware? And it's Joe Biden. There he lives there.
he's from Scranton. Um, I don't, well, I was getting targeted with Havana syndrome really bad there, and I didn't realize it. And I kind of think that they were hitting me. And when I was there helping take care of my dad, he had a couple strokes, and I kind of think that was caused by the Havana syndrome. They were trying to hit me, and they hit him instead because his den was right below my bedroom, and that's where he would be all day in his office. So yeah, I wonder about stuff like that. So I kind of felt like it was better just to take off and leave them be so they wouldn't harm them because I knew too much. That's kind of like how it felt. And I do wonder if they gave dad the stroke trying to hit me so I would shut up because I was talking. And actually, when yeah, the trauma twin was here, I was getting taken a lot. I wake up with blood draw marks, bruises, and he's told me that he was fighting, and he says they're not coming for me, that they're coming for you. He's like, they're mad you keep talking. And I was also talking about doing the cranial sacral fascial therapy, and when they put you in the regen tanks, they don't regenerate the trauma. You're still stuck with the trauma in your fascia, so you have to, I think they purposely do that, so you have to deal with trauma that you don't even remember how you got it, but it's still with you in your aura. And then, you know, your fascia is like your wetsuit of skin that covers your nerves and muscles, and it's, yeah, but it is crystal.
A lot of pain in the fascia built up, and then waiting, and it was like a reflective thing for the pain body, multiple onion layers as you go deep to emotional somatic releases and other things that are waiting to be discovered when a person's ready. And then, of course, the clearing out with what's toxins and bacteria, etc. You talked about being drowned in a torture program. I find they do these to try to trigger certain abilities. For the drowning, I found to try to trigger abilities having to do with the water, as well as DNA lineages that they've screened for that the person might probably has if they're doing that, such as shape-shifting gills or some type of shape-shifting species that survives well in water, or a Syrian or a Mer person or
a selkie. It's it was, there's legends of these selkies, and they would be a seal in the water, and when they come on land, they would just like basically unzip their seal skin and hide it somewhere, so they couldn't go back into the water unless they had their selkie skin. So in the legend, some guys would see this beautiful woman walking on the beach, and of course she's usually naked too, so she'd steal some clothes off a clothesline. But they would try to find her skin, and they would hide it so she could never leave. And then she would, you know, be longing for the sea forever. But they wanted us for, like, I remember being in, checking the perimeter of underwater domes where we were living in without breathing apparatus. I was just swimming around, you know, because they wanted to, yeah, that was weird. I remember being 9 years old in the bathtub at home in Delaware thinking, I wonder if I can breathe underwater here too. And then I thought, this probably isn't a good idea because there's nobody watching me. So I didn't do it. But yeah, and I remember they had us in swimming pools, and it looked like Florida because there was some tropical plants outside, and there was like glass walls. But it was really nice indoor, outdoor kinds of pool. But I actually had to stand on kids' heads in this pool so that they would breathe water. Yeah, it wasn't fun because you feel like you're drowning. Initially, it's not very pleasant, and then you can breathe underwater. But yeah, just
they'll either take you out right before you're drowned, or they kind of have a science on it. There's different programs, and that some will drown you and then revive you. Some will be okay with you dying, and then the regen chamber. But
there
yeah,
are so many programs because I remember being on this assembly line in the whole project, and I'm basically sitting on this arm, you know, the bottom of the arm that went up to where I was, and it was like a GM plant, you know, and they had this big hose they just screwed into like my sacral chakra, and it put goo and whatever the hell fluids they were putting in to make me a Hulk. And I remember seeing Brian up in the skybox there. He was one of the logistics guys, Brian Zing, because there was a couple guys in white coats up there. Because I was like a third gen, one of the people they physically took. So I think that's why some of my memories aren't as good, because they perfected some of these, because I don't always remember the names of planets I've been on. I know I went to different places and what people looked like there, what the terrain looked like there, what we were doing there, because they would send me to go pick up ancient artifacts. And one time I had to get this black cube thing and it fit in the palm of my hands. But my counterpart, when we were walking down the ramp from our ship, he got hit right in the heart, right under his arm when we were walking. So I had to get the thing. And there wasn't supposed to be any hostiles there because I remember they would do weird stuff like send us places where we weren't wearing our smart suit. We'd just be wearing a cloth suit. So it was easy to kill us. Oh, there's no hostiles there. And then
Yeah, they do say that.
people are
Because
shooting
they
at
just want
you.
you to not be freaked out to reject the mission, right?
But yeah, that
Oh
was
yeah, it's safe. Yeah.
good part because I had to drag him back in, go get the kill. I had to kill the guy, go drag him back in. And, you know, like I remember being trained in redundancy. So I was a pilot navigator because he was a navigator and I was a pilot. And yeah, because he was just laying on the floor of the ship next to me dead. And I had to take him back with the object that I had. I don't even know what that thing was for. But we went to some cool places like this. There was this huge ancient library with books that were so big. You know, they were like as big as this room when they were open, and there was this big table with books on it. And this guy, he looked like Gandalf. He was really tall with white hair, and he was the librarian. But wherever this library was off planet, I remember my other half was like, "Oh, Susan, you got to see this book over here." It was something about Earth because so many of our histories have been changed. Or, anyways, I went over to look to see the book, or he was bringing it to me, and I just remember the gravity. He was bouncing like this, like Tigger holding the book, and I was laughing because he looked silly. Um, yeah, it's a lot of memories like that that are, you know, with laughter, us being silly, or, you know, something horrible happening that I remember. But I don't know. A lot of this stuff here, I've just like focused on trying to heal and see who the hell I am, and I'm all into natural remedies because I think a lot of the medicines are, I kind of wonder if they're not made for O negative people because everybody else has all these horrible side effects. Because my sister and my mom are O negative and they don't seem to have a problem with pharmaceuticals, but I do. So I make a lot of herbal stuff, and I've been using herbal stuff for 34 years. Longer than that.
Oh, you got your herbal stuff here. Before you go into that, I just want to finish off like, so it for people, you say you were screened in that program with the drowning for because you had silky DNA. I had a thing with a Syrian A race that's like appeared on a submarine that's also in this show Hellboy, and it's like a blue type of thing. What is it called? The Sound of Water or something. I don't know. Somebody falls in love with
Oh, I love that movie.
yeah, I haven't so
The
the
Shape of Water or something it was called.
this is a really rare kind of technology program that not many people have, but they see it very valuable, and they're like, why would they want anything that goes underwater? Because there's a bunch of stuff underwater. We didn't explore almost anything. There, there's all these civilizations underwater, and they want some way to link or get in because they kind of got a defense system. They also have a camouflage system. They don't like humans. So they don't really do peace treaties with us. So if they find somebody that can shift into them, they try to send them in to find out where they are. And usually sometimes they have an idea of it, and then they'll send them. And then there's some of those species have telepathies, and they can track the people in their lineage that are demonstrating their abilities. So then that leads to a greater peace treaties and trade and interaction if they're wanting to be unity. You talked about the Hulk program. Oh yeah. So did you want to say any more on the Silky thing, and then also feel free to go into the Hulk program because not many people talk about that.
The the Selkie thing was they wanted people that could swim underwater. So they were looking for, you know, if you had this DNA, they wanted you. And also they wanted the positive children of O negative mothers, because my mom wasn't given a Rogam shot. So I carried in the O negative in recession. And I noticed like a lot of the psionics are O positive. Yeah, which is really weird. But that is a more there's more people that are positive than other blood types.
And my mom has
But
that.
they also wanted me to be able to infiltrate and like work as a diplomat. But then that pissed me off because I remember going to some places and this one place I was working with a historian because he wanted to know about cultures on Earth. And I wasn't even allowed to sit with a man of that species unless I was his spouse. You know, I wasn't even allowed to look at him, which is hard for me because I like to look at people,
Yeah, right.
look them in the eyes. You had to look down. But, you know, he was a historian, so he was more, you know, PhD kind of hippie kind of guy. So we would do things that were against the culture, like sit there and laugh and we'd look each other in the eye. But I love those people. And then we left there, and then they blew the planet up because they didn't pay taxes or something stupid. So that really made me mad when I figured out they had, like, here I fell in love with these people, and they used me to infiltrate them, to harm them. And I'm thinking I'm going out there to do some kind of peacekeeping mission. Sorry.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then you'd find out that they killed them all. And you'd been there for a while, you know?
Yeah, it sucks the
And,
higher ups shitty
well, it
trees.
makes you understand why the ETs freaking hate humans. So, but there was. I don't blame them. But yeah, I remember a lot of different programs going to do different stuff. Mostly they use me as a psionic, and I go into different things. And then a lot of stuff, like, we still don't. I noticed that like the people they use for that stuff, none of them seem to have any tattoos, because we still have the mentality that we can't have any marks on us because they'll be able to recognize us. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. So you talked about the Hulk program. Can you describe how that works, and then like from what you know, because not many people talk about it.
They made you have superhuman strength, which is kind of funny because, like, I'm not saying I used that ability in the police academy, but yeah, the first day I went in there and I couldn't do one push up, and I did 70 in a minute. And the guys, when I graduated, because I was never competing with the girls, I was competing against the guys the whole time. I got second place for physical training. And I tied with a guy that had just gotten out of the army. And the guy that beat us both was a physical trainer. But I remember my mom would get mad at me because I was a really good athlete. She's like, why don't you go in the Olympics? And I always had this feeling I wasn't supposed to be seen. Like, I wasn't allowed to be on social media for the longest time. And I didn't know why, but I knew I didn't want anyone to see me. So this is kind of weird coming out doing this. But, you know, Sheila the She-Hulk, Veronica was too, because it's kind of funny to have like a super strong woman because you're not expecting that. And then all of a sudden she's got you cuffed and stuffed and you're like, what just happened? So there was a lot of that kind of stuff. And guys saying, oh, I taught her this or I taught her that. And I was like, no, I already knew how to do this stuff.
People are used to the big muscle, and that's the only thing into strength. But like, there's psionic abilities, like going into super strength. This whole story is about people in that there's a mother that can pick up his car off the kid in time of need, and that would be almost impossible and would rip your muscles. And then you know, Hercules, Atlas, Irish legends of people of strength. Was it the guy in the Bible that had the hair cut off and loses powers? Yeah, there's
Yeah, but I remember being a rookie and we were on this backcountry road and this drunk guy tries to push the guy that was field training me. And I used my chi. I wasn't even thinking. I was like, and the guy went bouncing down the road like 100 yards on his butt, and he bounced like 3 freaking times on his ass, and he was handcuffed, so he was bouncing with his arms behind his back down the road, which wasn't. And then yeah, Kevin kind of looked at it like and then they kept talking about how I bounced somebody down the road, and people thought it was just a euphemism for we got in a fight, but it wasn't. He literally bounced down the road, and I was like, ooh, I better chill, because I go to push things and you weren't even thinking about it, but you're just, yeah. And I still have people ask me how I picked up a 350-pound dude and drug him out of a house because I using my chi. I just wasn't realizing I was doing it, because I'd be like, God damn it, did I have to put out some extra effort to do something? So yeah, but I also remember somebody at the gym. I asked him to spot me, and he was he looked at me. He's like, damn. He's like, you don't look that strong. He's like, I bet those guys get embarrassed when you fuck them up. And I was like, I was like, I don't want to hurt anybody, but if they make me have to fight, I'm just going to get them on the ground so it'll be over real quick, because I don't want to fight, because that's a lot of wasted energy. It's warm in here.
We're going. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm doing a parasite cleanse, so I'm feeling kind of weird.
Yeah, I'd love to ask you about that. Before we go into the healing, did you hear of any or see or witness any other type of programs in which how they trigger certain abilities? Like, doesn't have to be torture, but I've seen where some don't really care, and they want efficiency, and they trigger through stress and needing to evolve the body to overcome a threat.
Well, sometimes we'd be strapped down and they just hit you with cattle prods till you just get mad and just shift, and start fighting. And then you'd end up killing the people that were hitting you with cattle prods, but they just regen them. Because I do remember some stuff like that being in 4 points and people coming in and just hitting you with cattle prods, and there was nothing you could do about it because you couldn't get up until you activated your abilities.
So rage, protection, interesting.
Well, yeah, I remember being in a lab, because I went in there to see my other half was in a regen tube, and it was like this yellowish kind of liquid, but you could see through it, and the guys in the lab didn't notice, but I don't know if we could hypnotize him too. But he started crawling out of the tank because it didn't have a lid, and as soon as he did, he started hitting the guys in the lab with his psionics, and they were hit. One guy's head blew up, the other guys started fighting each other and stabbing each other, kind of thing. So we didn't have to fight them; we could make them fight each other.
Interesting. And I've also came across these T-Rex beings you've talked about, besides draconians and naga and raptors, and there seems to be multiple different seeders of different dinosaur races that are in a reptoid type manner. And not many people talk about them. So that's cool to hear it from you.
Well, some of the reptoids were nice, like the Barney looking ones that were brown, they were nice. I didn't like the ones with the alligator heads, because they like to eat you while you're alive. Because I remember them being in a room. One they did, they had some kind of ritual where they took my baby and ripped it apart and ate it, and they were holding my counterpart up, two of these alligator beings, and he was hysterical crying because they made him watch it.
Sorry.
But yeah, that was but I don't really like, what was that movie with Sigourney Weaver that wasn't released? Raqqa. That's what those guys look like. And the Raqqa thing. That's like the most real thing. Those were the ones I remember being in the tunnels. But like the Royal Draco, I don't really remember seeing them, except I have seen one in my bedroom. It showed up in 2015, but it was a juvenile and it was standing at the foot of my bed and looking out the window. But that was also the same time when like I had to leave a light on in my bedroom, because if I shut all the lights out, I'm laying in bed and I could see like all the energetic cords going to everybody, like a huge spider web, and I could see blue lights going back and forth as people are communicating. And it was just so weird and distracting trying to sleep, and I'd have to leave a light on. And then I was having more ET contact, because that was the same night that the Royal Draco was in there, that there was an insect
communication network. That's cool to see it visually.
I could see the there was the insectilium was stuck in the hangers in my closet. So yeah, then I left my closet light on for like 6 months because I didn't want to look in the closet because I didn't know what was in there, but I could hear it struggling. It was stuck in the hangers. Well, and there, you know, I basically want to put my pillow over my head and say, go away. I'm not ready for this now. I want to see these guys in my bedroom in 3D. Because I have seen stuff here in 3D.
That goes into a good question somebody asked. Is there is this in another parallel world, or is it in third density? So you go ahead and answer that.
Which one? Oh, it was in 3D when I was sleepwalking and taken by the men in black, because he took me from my house. But then on the Gen 3. But I also remember it was one night, I don't know, it was like 2 or 3 in the morning and I couldn't sleep, because usually now I'm in bed early. But I'm laying there on my side and I could physically feel him trying to suck my soul out of me. But I can't see who it is, but I can feel him. And I'm like, kind of like this, suck, you know, grabbing my is basically your umbilical cord. They were like pulling it and I was pulling it back saying, you can't take me. And then it stopped, but I couldn't see who it was. That kind of freaked me out. But that's when I was getting taken a lot, because when I moved to Iowa, I was getting taken to open portals and stuff for the military. I was having dreams about that, because one night I was in South America with like some cartel leader's house. It was his kitchen was massive and beautiful, and I scared the shit out of him when I popped into his kitchen. Because I was like, you can run, but you can't hide. And he was like, he starts running, he's sweating. And then the Air Force guys popped in the portal after me, and they went and got him. But that's basically what they would use me for, to portal jump for military, like in the last couple of years. But they were using me for different stuff before. Because who are you going to call up when you have issues with ETs on the planet? You're going to call up, well, you're not going to call them, you're just going to go kidnap their ass. Your Sonic warriors you got out there that are just living among the common citizens, because there's, you know, there's you. We got a lot of people like that out here.
Yeah, I read that too. And they'll take them back and forth in time, different colonies, and they'll then try to maintain their abilities in an altar and compress around it, which is annoying, because like my dream is to bring it out again more so, and more psionic abilities. And it's just like, wow, they're just really trying to control and siphon off people. I mean, I get they need to use them for these protective purposes, but making it so that they can't use them when they come back, that's fucked up to begin with. And then also how they activate them, that's fucked up. And then there's just so many messed up things. it needs to change. And I think psionics, as people develop it more, will be the cure to that, as people entangle into our traps. But yeah, and you went into that you're a healer. So what kind of healing have you had to go through yourself in training, and then how that went into teaching you how to be a really good healer, and then what kind of healings do you offer for people?
Um, well, I realized that a healing ability when I was a police officer, as I kept before they put me in family services where it was a lot of rape victims. It was a lot of rape victims, and then because I'm an empath, I can feel what's going, and all I want to do is take the pain away and make them feel better. So I was basically, like putting a blanket around them or holding their hand, and I could feel them ground and calm down when I touched them. And I was like, this is pretty weird. I'm like, why does my hand get kind of warm? And then I started researching Reiki. I was like, oh, I got healing energy too. So, I mean, shoot, I was carrying crystals in my pocket and other weird stuff. I've always been woo-woo. I was a hippie before I was a cop. But I wanted to help people because I was a victim of a violent crime, and I thought the police could have done a far better job. They could have gone a lot better than it did. So I decided I was going to go do that job and did that for a while. And that after I got out of there, because I was like, I'm going to be a physical therapist. I wanted to do that before because I was always a jock before I was a cop, but it was 8 years. And I'm like, 8 years of school? I don't want to do 8 more years. I'm not 20. And then I saw massage therapy. I was like, ooh, I can do this healing stuff. So I was in massage school. I was going to Reiki certification on the weekend and was doing that.
It's funny how we're from Delaware and we're massage artists and Reiki.
So I was taking holy fire and Usui, and I'm not certified in any level of Karuna, but I do use sound frequencies because I want to get
And
some more.
craniosacral.
Yeah, because I will use these when I'm doing energy work, and I do Gillespie approach, which is cranial sacral fascial therapy, and Dr. Gillespie was an oral surgeon, and he realized that when he removed teeth, that it would have a different effect in a different area of the body. And he's there in Malvern, Pennsylvania, where John Barnes was. So he started working with John Barnes, and then he came up with the Gillespie approach, which is cranial sacral, John Barnes unwinding, and myofascial release. And depending on how trusting people are, like one lady, I just touch her and she starts unwinding. And other people, you really have to, because they can't relax. So it's hard when somebody can't relax to try to, get them to unwind. So sometimes it takes a couple of sessions.
Too.
Yeah, they have to.
Trance. A lot of people think they can't be hypnotized. It's like, yeah, well, you can, but there's a lot of defense mechanisms when you gotta like go through to make them feel safe, and then shut down make the security system feel safe in a trusting environment so that you can go deep into your own consciousness, and then but yeah, everybody can be hypnotized. Like you went into like mind control tech.
Yeah, being hypnotized was terrifying to me when I was getting certified in that. I was, I think you pick somebody you resonate with, and I always make sure I record everything because I want to see everything. Because sometimes people see the first regression I had, she saw a whole bunch of ETs looking at through my iPad. And she's like, Susan, did you see all those ETs? I said, I saw a couple. I smelled a reptilian was upstairs. I smelled the sulfur. And I tell him the GTFOH, this is my session. And then while we were doing the review afterwards, I'm sitting here in my chair, and there's the doorway there, and I see a gray walk past the doorway. I was like, what the fuck? And I'd never seen a gray like that in my house, but I could see through him. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Because I don't know why all these ETs showed up when I was doing my regression, but they all wanted to see. So I don't know if I've interacted with all these guys or what. Because there are some people that I don't. Because when I call St. Michael, the Syrians and Arcturians come and help me. So they're my blue angels that people have seen. Shoot, did I get off topic now because I'm rant filled?
Okay, soon into healing. So yeah, you kept going into the different healing methods that you offer for people.
Oh, I do integrative massage, which that's usually what I recommend, because then I can do deep tissue, which I hate doing, but you need it in some areas. Then I can do some cranial sacral fascial therapy, and I also do regressions. I do a couple of John Barnes things. I still wanted to do the barefoot things. Like I said, I don't like doing deep tissue, but I like doing it barefoot with the bars and stuff. Oh my God, that was the best deep pressure massage I ever got when I went to certification last November in St. Louis. So I'd really like to get that in here because I get a lot of Amish and a lot of farmers and people that are working in factories. So they're, they need a lot of deep pressure. And drivers, they end up having shortened psoases, got to do some cranial sacral fascial and release their hips, which looks pretty weird, but I have to unwind their hips. Then I do the regressions because everything, I was a sex crimes investigator and worked in Vice, and it was just so many overwhelming trauma things that I saw that I'm more interested in dealing with trauma and just making you whole again so you can function in society and with, the best possible life you can possibly have, because pain sucks. It's all about decreasing your pain, because I can feel the pain that people have in their anxiety before they get here, especially energy work. When I get a new client, they get all scared because some people are like, she's a psychic medium, she'll know this. I don't know everything when you come in. Just stuff will pop up that you need to address. But, I think, why is my head killing me like 2 hours before this person comes here? I'm like, is this me or what? Sometimes I'll get the EMF detector because I'm like, is this a Banner syndrome?
I get that too.
I need to take this, and then I'm like, oh, it's something else. And then the person gets here and they're like, you had a migraine all day, and they're like, yeah, go wait to see you. And their heart's going like this because I'll be just cooking lunch or something, and all of a sudden I'm like, what is this debilitating anxiety? It's not even mine. I'm like, who's this? And I'm like, oh. And then it happens where I'll hear, because I do have some soul family out here. I've seen a couple people that were in the programs that I've worked on, and I know when they're coming because I'll hear them, because I'm like, oh, you're thinking about me again. Like, and then they'll call me within a couple hours or the next day because I know they're coming to see me.
I find the empathic healing where you take on it as if you're their surrogate, like if you're healing yourself. You want to have control over the sliding scale of that ability, but it amplifies it at least 1 trillion times. And then also, if you're very good as a healer and you know what exactly to do with what you're feeling, and it makes it very quick. So wonderful that you have that ability. That would help. That helps a lot of people. I'm sorry that you take up pay for others, but thank you for what you do.
This helps. I'm really grateful I met Yvonne, because I always thought it was weird to use a wand because I thought it was kind of pretentious. But when I use the wand, I go in there and I'll pull it and then I'll zap it back and I'll open a port, there it is, or send it back to heaven. But I don't want it to jump on me, so I'm opening and putting it in. But it takes it so I'm not going in with my whole empathic heart and feeling it so much. So it's more of I'll see it because I like using these things to take parasites out with, because sometimes they'll break, because a lot of people, like I worked on one guy, it was something that he heard created this parasite in him that went all the way down into his root. And I was like, that's the weirdest thing ever. So I had to get it from his ear and then go all the way down to his root and get it. And But I was still getting a lot of the, like, could see what's going on in his youth and all this other stuff. But it just took some of the emotion out of it, because some of the emotion is really traumatizing. And then you got to go outside and ground yourself and walk barefoot. Or I like to put salt water in the bathtub, and you know, that makes me feel better. And I have one of those old clawfoot bathtubs, so I'll put one of those Bluetooth speakers under there, and Dr. Virtual's got some really good clearing meditations, and I'll put it so it vibrates through the water, which is pretty. And then you're like, oh.
Good job.
And then I'll just think of it as like when I pull the plug in the tub, that all this energy charged water is going to go out into the town and like basically fill the gutters of the town with more light. But I tried doing that here because this town had a lot of problems with drug addiction. And there's like 4 Masonic halls in this place. And when I was trying to, because I'm on a ley line, when I was trying to put the golden light into the ley line, like I was just picturing it as the ley lines were like gutters, and I'm going to fill the gutters all around the town, light the town up so everybody feels happy and they start healing. But the first couple of times I did it, I got hit so hard that I felt like my brain was going to implode. And they were really angry. And then I heard somebody talking about they didn't like the witch on the hill. I'm like, the witch on the hill? I don't identify as a witch, but I think they're talking about me, because anybody with abilities they call a witch.
True. Yeah. Nice. Yeah, I love water healing, and the water gridding is very powerful, and I do that too. And then with baths, one of the best ways to heal a person, especially if you put it all around and make it super amplified and ceremonial. You said you also made tinctures. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Oh, who's Black Feather in the Winds? I'm like, I know this person, but
he's very nice in the comments. He's asking some good questions. Feel free if you want to answer some of them.
This is my most proudest thing, because one of my clients wanted me to do stuff with. He found a local farm that makes medicinal mushrooms, and he sent me a list of what they made, and I told him what to get. And I made this one is lion's mane, turkey tail, and cordyceps. And I've got it all mixed. So this is from the water, because it's a double tincture, but I'll have to shake it up really good. But this should be really good for gut health, anxiety, inflammation, all kinds of stuff. With these are the most important 3. But doing the double tincture, you do it with the alcohol, with the with the, what is it called, the Everclear, and then you have that in there for 8 weeks. And then I did the distilled water processing. So this one's a 2-to-1. It has 2 water to 1 alcohol. So I haven't tried this one yet. That one should be pretty good. Like, here's the alcohol portion after it's been strained from the reishi mushroom, because I'm getting ready to do the double decoction with this one. So it'll end up being like this. But I already took the mushrooms out of here. I strained all those, and then I had to put them in a crock pot for 2 days. And you got to reduce the distilled water, so it's by 1/3. And then I'm pretty excited about this. I can't wait to try these. And then because I was making other stuff like rosemary and lavender hair oil, because I get crazy dry hair. And then I got a peppermint and rosemary one. This one's ready to go. I don't know if you can see how green this is, but this is mullein and marshmallow. And this is good for runny nose and like stuffy sinus.
Do you sell these, by the way?
Yeah, I sell those on my shop, Divine Boutique on Etsy. So that's going to be the new thing, is the mushroom tinctures. And I started making with the leftover frankincense and myrrh they sent me to make these tinctures was so good. I processed it a second time and I made this body balm. Oh my God, this is to die for. And I make tattoo balm to heal. This one's really nice for a local tattoo shop. And this one has calendula, chamomile, rosehip seed oil, John's wort, St. John's wort, shea butter, lavender essential. Then I have helichrysum, beeswax, and grapeseed oil. And I've got, let's see, the comfrey ones. These are good. Like if you sprain something, comfrey's good, and all that green stuff. It's all the green medicine. I love herbal stuff. But this is the really good one I have. Because I have one for nerve pain that is which is my three wise men, and that has juniper berries, ginger, frankincense, myrrh, 2 types of cinnamon, ormus, RSO, CBD, and 7 butters. And it has vitamin E in it too. Oh, here it is. That's this one. These are $20 for the 1 ounce ones. And these smell like what you think it would smell like. Very strong. And I use these for sprained ankle when I sprain my ankle. And those are pretty good for nerve pain. And then I make like body oils. This one's frankincense and myrrh. Got rose petal and honeysuckle. Rose petal make your skin really soft, and the honeysuckle is supposed to tighten it a little bit. I got pine needle, and that was pine will raise your vibration, but it's also good for being exposed to some other crap. If you know me, this is like, see, this is my mullein and marshmallow in here. And then I Reiki charge all my stuff for your highest good. I've got some other cool mushroom stuff that I'll talk to you about off camera. So I can't wait for that.
Those are quite the entourage of healing helpers you got there. You also go into sonic amplification and enchantment with your healing remedies. Is that correct?
Yes. I've done that on TikTok. People didn't realize what I was doing, but I'm basically just gonna hold this over here, and I ask the universe to charge this with the highest possible vibration for who's ever healing is getting this, and I'll just hold this. So yeah, that's my healing energies. And a lot of times I'll listen to frequencies, like I like Anakin, and they have a really good one about healing with the nature and the trees. And I did my elderberry syrup listening to that one. And it was spinning for a while. I'm like, okay. Yes, and heal the brains and give them less anxiety and heal their guts and all the other good stuff. Yes. Let's see, I'll just hold it. So then I figure it's full.
Beautiful.
So I just picture golden light around it and everybody being healing and feeling better when they're using the products, because I want everyone to have the best possible quality of life they can have, because these programs sucked and we have a lot of healing to do. So I stay away from the pharmaceuticals. I use all this stuff. I have a whole bunch of tinctures of my own stuff that I use. And also, it's probably a good thing to get some extra iodine too, if you're getting hit. I just take the nascent iodine and do like 1 drop, but then I also do a 3 wise men tea of ormus, frankincense, and myrrh that I do with like reverse osmosis water, and I do a shot of that, and that'll give you energy. It also makes you, helps your glow. And it'll help increase your light body. You can put selenite in your bath water. Just one of the palm stones. If I'm feeling shitty, I'll put my selenite in there, run the water over it, and then do frequencies under the tub. You can put angelica root in there. Like if I'm getting ready to do a healing session and I know it's something's going to be a little bit crazy. I mean, I'm not a witch, but I do make black salt for protection because I've had some weird shit going. I'll put my black salt in there. I'll put some angelica root in there, my salts and everything, and basically because I want to be as clean as I can because I don't want anything that, you know, jumping off me onto my client. It's all about intention and purpose. And
Okay, so a little bit. Yeah, beautiful techniques. And this is going to what you've called the Fey folk remedy magic. I mean, Fey folk remedy healing and cures.
well, yeah, I put my Fey energy into it because I don't know, my great grandma told me I was Fey like her, so apparently I'm one of them. And in your session, you told me I can go back and heal my Fey lineages. So while I've been sitting in the bathtub, sometimes I'll think about them and I'm in there, cinnamon golden healing.
Yeah, we had a session exchange. It was wonderful, and we she did a lot of powerful work to help release pain and overwhelm and things attached, and it was lovely. Thank you for doing that. And you saw some interesting things. I saw some cool stuff with my session with you. We mostly went into releasing blocks on abundance. And it went into some cool luck overpowered abilities. If you don't mind me sharing, I'm not going to
Go ahead.
tell them too much. And magic abilities and manifestation abilities having to do with both the elven race and the Fae, which people kind of put together. And I saw at least 40 plus Fae lineages connected to you. Different species of fates that have influence of different types of elemental energy, and then being able to influence that in the world, and then them having a certain role and agenda and thing they wanted achieved through adding that to the genetics of human lineages, as well as just you at your birth, but also like things you inherited. And then them wanting to visit you and then come talk, and they want your help with helping their species and then making it thrive again, because there's a lot of people out there that have similar, and these species have taken big hits. Some have taken it from being targeted, having rare abilities, being on the run from planet to planet to realm, and being hunted, and some being captured, imprisoned, devoured, some and then near wiped out, like some are the last of their species, and they are interacting with humanity because we're the cure to a lot of problems. It's a super hybrid that can bring all these abilities together and then overcome fate itself, and time and space, and even heal things and release things that didn't need to happen on the timeline, and bring back species from near extinction. So that's a lot of, and then also release fertility blocks and things, keeping them from finding each other. A lot of us out here, thank you for all doing that and helping these races. They need a lot of support. But yeah, any other things you want to talk about in the healing method and what they've taught you and other things?
I was just wondering if you know why, but it seems like whenever I see these ETs or the Fae or whoever come, they never look at me. Why aren't they always like this? Because, you know, I was taught to look people in the eyes, and they never, even when I talk to them, they won't look up. They just look down. Mm.
Oh yeah. So a lot of people have hard time processing being in a human body, and also there's weapons that make it very uncomfortable. And energetically, when you're entangling and you're very empathic or can sense things, eyes are, can connect to a person very quickly, and then you get a lot of information and energy and emotions. A lot of people don't feel like looking at you, right? And also there's like a coping mechanism with it, and there's rocking, and there's trauma, and there's things to resolve and program the body, but it usually goes back to some type of programming That's whether trauma in the body, their soul themselves, and not knowing what to do with it. Not saying it's fine if people want to do that. It's just like usually, people compare things like that to acting in a way that doesn't draw attention or wonder why a certain person acts the way they do. And then every action in habit pattern leads to something in why they are doing that and who they are and what they have. But yeah, any other things you want to like, because like faith folk healing isn't very common, so it's interesting that you brought up that topic.
I don't know. I'm just trying to do all of it. I don't want
Yeah, all
pharmaceuticals.
the type of healing.
Eat right, and then our food's poisons, and then I'll sit there and self-reiki myself and my people and try to make, and a lot of my medicine folk remedies, I guess we don't want to use a pharmaceutical name on the folk remedies, are because people needed something, and like I started making magnesium lotion and people needed that, and then like that pain salve, I make that for a cancer network, and I wanted it myself because I have back pain. So it's nerve pain and it works pretty good, but I smell like a weed factory if I wear that though. But because it's pretty strong, so I can't wear that out in public. Not around here anyway.
Yeah, I like doing that too. I love learning all the different healing abilities. So thank you also for being an eclectic healer and grabbing as many different types as possible. It allows for it to survive and be strong and be a standing wave of light for people to look towards. And then it allows this big wave of healing that permeates through time and makes more healers.
And you don't have to be on a farm and homestead, because I'm living in an old Victorian in town. I'm doing this stuff. So you can have your own garden, and grow your own organic stuff, or I'm in farm country, so I can find farmers that can hook me up with some stuff, like find somebody who makes the medicinal mushrooms, because I'm also making a small batch up of, there's like 12 different medicinal mushrooms, but I didn't have much of my stuff left, so I wanted to make a tincture of that, because I don't have time to sit there and make mushroom tea, and it's more bioavailable if I do this than if I just grind it up and eat it. You know what I mean?
Nice. Thank you. Yeah, we'll go to some questions before we wrap up. Do they target certain age groups from Black Feather?
Yeah. I know I was taken at 5. Well, you were telling me they took me to Montauk the first time when I was 5, because they took me to the fairy realm, and then when I came back from there, yeah, I went to Montauk. But yeah, if you see a picture of me when I was 5 and my eyes are like this, you can tell I was MK then. But also seers usually have those gigantic eyes. Now I'm older, my eyes don't look quite as big. But and then a picture of like 12 or 14, because that's when they took us back again for to teach other kids, because I was also teaching weaponless defense and things like that, because I was training in the dojo. But I like doing a lot of physical stuff. So if you remember being in the dojo and you bent over and somebody hit you in the in the butt, that was me, because you're supposed to have situational awareness. But yeah, but then I'm a joker too.
Another question, Dr. Virtual, what's the name of the meditation?
I pull it up on YouTube, because I got some good ones. Because I was doing my money magic candle. Dr. Virtual 7, he's got a whole bunch of really good ones. Oh, he's also got a scatter frequency if you're getting hit with a lot of target individual scatter frequency that runs 39 minutes. That one was pretty good. I'll put that one in chat.
Thank you. Yeah, for putting that in chat. So, for those that want to experience your healing methods and also get the interesting enchanted tinctures, how can they reach you and go to get supplied?
DIVIN boutique on Etsy, and divineconnections.amta for my American Massage Therapy Association website. You can see all my services on there. Yeah, Divine Boutique, Etsy is where I have all my tinctures and salves and stuff. But you can't describe what the tinctures do on Etsy, or they will deactivate your whatever it is that you make, which pretty much sucks. I got to list stuff, and then you got to figure out what it's for, unless I advertise what it's for in a little TikTok video I make and put on my Facebook or my IG, and then because I can't put it on Etsy because they deactivate my account. Because when I put something on there about the pine needle tincture being one of the things that was good to get rid of effects of the it's only one of the things. There's a lot of different things you need to use. They deactivated that one, so I had to put it up without that on there. So yeah, you can't have any healing descriptions, which pretty much sucks.
Thank you for some, and I'll definitely get some as well. And I'll put that in the description. So you're also on Facebook and Instagram, Susan Long?
Susan Long, and then I have my SSP disclosure page is the Phoenix, because that was one of my call signs. And then I have an IG page, which is First Wave Indigo Soul Star. And then I have Jean Grey Phoenix one too, which is more SSP stuff on IG.
And are you on YouTube too?
Yeah. Oh, I forget that I'm on there. I have what's my YouTube? I think it's the Phoenix, Susan Phoenix 2331, and that has some of my YouTube SSP videos on it that I collected. I mean, I have a whole lot more, but they're on Rumble.
Wonderful. And do you got any projects and books coming up? You also are a speaker at the Full Disclosure Now conference at fulldisclosuremovement.org. And also there's I forget the exact link, but I'll try to put it in the description for people to get the recording that's online for presentation.
I came out as a hybrid there, and yeah, I have some pictures of me partially shape-shifting, because I never know when it's going to happen, so it's kind of hard to capture. But you can see my Lyran and part of my dragon and my light body pictures, and then I got the what do you call them, the beehive shape shifts that I think, those are the blue people. I'm not sure which race they are, and some other stuff. And then I have the targeting with the triangle ships that were out in the backyard, and they would just hit you with the V2K. Because I don't really have gang stalking out here, because I don't think that they could really get anybody to do it, but they'll definitely send people in a ship on Thursdays, because I think that was training days, because we used to get hit with V2K every Thursday, but it stopped for a while. Yeah, weird, huh?
Interesting, yeah. And any projects coming up, presenting, travel? Books?
I don't know. I need to write a book. I need to sit down and do this. And yeah, but I'm kind of blowing up on the mushrooms, right? Got to get all those. And then a shop in town wants me to put all their stuff in there, because they want to go boutique style. So with herbal remedies.
Probably. Okay, yeah.
So I gotta make myself sit down and write this book, but somebody told me to do an audio book, and I don't know if anybody's got good software. I can just walk around going, and then this happens, and then just, I don't know how I'm gonna do this audio book.
There's a voice to text software called Dragon. I think there's more coming out.
They still have the Dragon one, because I was gonna use that years ago.
Yeah, I'll look into if there's probably cheaper ones now. I just gotta, well, whatever. Um, okay, wonderful. Thank you. And are you presenting again? Or
Next year at Disclosure Now, I was kind of hoping some things would pick me up when they saw the hybrid photos, because it'd be nice to not struggle so much to make rent. You know?
Hmm.
But hey, at least it's all for a good cause, because I'm helping people while I'm doing all this stuff.
True. Yeah, so go our way and buy some stuff. I'm Sean Bond of Psionic League, psionicleague.com, psionicleague@gmail.com if you want to reach me with PSY as Psionic. And yeah, I offer consultations, healings, clearings, and depossess and get rid of negative entities and unlock super powers and dormant abilities. Can release pain from a distance, and I got a workshop of a mystery school. People can sign up if you just message me on that if you want to be a part of the school. And then yeah, a bunch of videos online that teach abilities, and we're doing trips, sacred trips around the world to different places of power. So email me trip inquiry and where you want to go. We'll do Mexico trips next, and different places like Japan and England, Scotland, Ireland, and India and Tibet and Hawaii, or possibly in the rains. So let me know on that, and if you have a place you want to go, specifically that's not on that list too, let me know on that, and we'll put you on the list for later. And we go to those places of power, sacred sites, pyramids, and give them what they need in wholeness, healing, protection, and support to the main spirits. And then they connect a circuit that explodes outward and affects the population in a positive way of what they're good at and abilities. And then they grant you superpowers for doing something that helps them. And we teach in a mystery school. And if you want to see more of this content, you want to see more of Susan Long, leave a comment below, give her your love, and share this video with people that you see would benefit and need some healing and some tinctures. And so spread that far and wide, smash that like, subscribe to both our channels and the other aspects of her channel. I'm also on Facebook and Insta and the other things, so feel free to follow me on there. And yeah, let us know if you want to see more of this. And I love you all. Thank you for coming, family. Appreciate you. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so follow for more content and see you later, and hope you have all a great day. Oh, and anything else you wanted to leave your viewers with in like
I'm good.
nice quote?
I'm good.
Okay, well, see you guys later. That was a great show. Thank you so much for being
I
fun.
felt like I kept going brain dead, because like my head hurts and my back hurts because I'm doing this, and I got a headache because I'm doing this stupid parasite cleanse because it's a fucking full moon, and I'm like, God damn it, I can't concentrate.
Yeah, sorry that you're getting them. Yeah, but that was a good show. No, a lot of people love that. So you did really well. So thank you for sharing that and being brave. I really appreciate it. And yeah, and we can exchange later and stuff anytime you feel like going more into trades with each other. I'd love to experience that.
Oh, and then I went out and I got some wild lettuce and dried it, and that's supposed to be good for pain. So I got a tincture of that going, and it's super green. So that should be a really good tincture. I want to try it for my back pain, and then I need some more hemp so I can make some more CBD.
Well, I'm gonna buy a bunch of stuff from you. Yeah, can you send me the links to your different pages, and I'll be able to put them in the video fairly quickly.
Sure.
But yeah, do your thing. I'm gonna go, but really good talking with you and sending my love, and thank you for existing.
Thank you. I love talking about weird stuff.
Me too.
Take care. Thank you, Sean.
Feel better. Thank you.
Thank